nurse practitioner is a nurse with an advanced level of training and education. We are educated, trained, and credentialed to assess, diagnose, prescribe, and treat chronic and acute health conditions across the lifespan. Is Karma a rehab? Good question. Karma is not a rehab. Karma is an outpatient clinic. Think of us as your traditional doctor's office who may hang out a sign that says, "We love addicts." That's us. Historically, there's been kind of this siloing of the treatment of addiction, either in a residential rehab, as you mentioned, or in kind of a 12-step AA model, and there hasn't been much in between. We are bringing medical science to addiction treatment in the outpatient space. Karma is an acronym. It stands for Collaborative Addiction Recovery Management and Assistance. And the collaboration and the assistance, the bookends of that acronym probably mean the most to me. Most people with a substance use disorder are well aware of what's going on in their life. They're well aware of the impact that it's having on themselves and their loved ones. And if they could just stop, they would, right? The goals for everyone with addiction are not the same. The endpoints are not the same. Recovery is defined differently by every individual. And so it's my job as a practitioner to collaborate with the patient, and in some cases with their family, on what their treatment goals are, and then for me to use my education and expertise to assist them on that path towards improved health. How did I come to work in the addiction space? Well, 11 years ago today, I was in a 90-day treatment facility myself. I made several half-hearted efforts at getting sober. And I came to a place where I had had enough and I needed help. I was very sick in a hospital. And there was a guy who walked into my room. I was being a little aggressive with the call button, I think. Came into the room, sat down in the bed next to me, and very kindly took the call button from me and said to me, "You can be as happy as you want to be, or you can be as miserable as you want to be, and you've got to make that decision." And I was almost 40 years old, and I'm sure I'd heard that, who knows how many times, but he said the right thing with the right tone, right amount of patience and caring and understanding at the right time. And that moment, that was my light bulb moment for whatever reason. And when I left that hospital and I went to rehab, I kept thinking about that moment, and I kept thinking, if I could have that kind of impact on someone's life, the way that that person, just in that moment of kindness and direct honesty, changed me, then it would be a happy and satisfying life. I would define success collaboratively with my patient. My goals are not necessarily the same as the patient's goals, not necessarily the same as the patient's family's goals. I have swung from a pretty rigid, abstinence-only thought process around recovery to a place where if I can get 3 injection drug users in the same room, all encouraging safe injection practices, carrying Narcan, and 2 people observing the third person injecting drugs, that to me is recovery. That to me is health promotion. That to me is working towards safer substance use. So supporting someone, watching someone walk this path, and I don't want to say never go backwards, because it's going to happen, but even if we do, raise my hand and say, hey, something happened, I need help. So long as we're always making those steps towards improved health outcomes and greater self-awareness, that to me is success. I view Karma's role in the local medical community as no different than any other specialist, like a cardiologist or a dermatologist, or even generalists like primary care providers. We happen to provide a specialty service to a historically underserved clientele. We are specially trained and specially focused on substance use disorder. Sometimes it's tough for other specialists or generalists to treat. It's a pretty specific skill set, and addiction recovery is a long conversation. Sometimes it's a lifetime conversation, not always appropriate for other medical spaces. So I view us as an integral piece, but just part of the overall healthcare fabric. I see Karma's role in the local addiction recovery community as sort of a safe, known space. Historically, discharge planning from a higher level of care, like an inpatient rehab, has been disjointed, and there haven't necessarily been specially trained kind of addiction medicine practices to send these people. There are special considerations, whether it's primary health or psychiatric. We try to stay in our lane, right? We always keep the addiction component in the forefront when we are treating concerns, and the local rehab community can trust us to accept their patient, kind of know, in a sense, the journey that these people have been walking, know, in a sense, the work that these facilities have done, and trust us to not kind of undo that work by doing anything that maybe a less specialized facility might do. Karma has benefited me, obviously, professionally. The people that I work with are friends. They're inspiring. Most importantly, though, I think with the patients that I work with, every day I'm able to see like a little piece of me, get that reflection of the places that I've been. Not that my story is the same as theirs, but there's a real sense of connection and reminder of the very real and difficult work that it takes to recover from substance use. I think Karma keeps me grounded, and I'm fortunate that it provides me a platform to give back a lot of what was given to me. What I love most about what I do is hearing the little stories. The numbers are great, right? I've been abstinent from a substance for X number of days or months or years. I just had a guy the other day tell me that his life was uncomplicated. And I thought that was brilliant, right? It just so hit the nail on the head of what recovery means, right? He didn't say I'm making a ton of money. He didn't say I've got great relationships or I got a dream job or whatever. And all that might have been true, but his life was no longer complicated. It was manageable. He had a gentle mind, right? And so hearing that little stuff that is hard to put your finger on, but you know it when you get there, that's good stuff. When I think about my time in active addiction and how I conceptualized myself as being sort of a free spirit and acting outside the constraints of society and being kind of this wild, independent person. The great irony is that none of that was true. I was not free. I was not independent. I was not living as I pleased. Quite the opposite. I was beholden to finding my substance. I was beholden to using my substance so I wouldn't get sick. I had to get money so that I could use the substance. And then once I did and I ran out, I was afraid and I was sick and I was back in the same place that I just was. And every day was the same. It was the opposite of freedom. It was a fear-inducing, soul-killing trap that I didn't even recognize for what it was until I got help and was able to put some distance between myself and that situation.